Alright guys, well, it's about 20 degrees outside again. I mean, it's the middle of March, but whatever. So we gotta have the heater going, so bear with me, because it is frosty in here this morning. We've come to the project that I've been putting off for quite a while. This is one that I'm not really looking forward to doing, but it needs to be done. The dreaded oil pan gasket and rear main seal. My theory behind everything is maintenance, maintenance, maintenance. What's the point of having a rig that you're going to try to drive somewhere that isn't going to run? Won't be reliable. Won't get you there and back. I mean, that's the point. Go out, have fun, come back home. I saw a post where somebody had just bought a Cherokee, and on their way home from buying it, they had ordered a lift kit for it. And then the next post was, how do I fix it because it doesn't run? Got to kind of prioritize that a little bit better. I would have skipped the lift kit for now and started with general maintenance on these things. I mean, they will run forever, but they do need a little help. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to fix some leaks that I got on the ground down underneath here. She's always had some puddles underneath her, but now they're getting bigger. So while we're not driving it, it's down for the season, we're going to go ahead and jump into this thing. What I ordered, this is just the Felpro kit. There's the rear main seal. I had originally purchased this rear main seal, and that's what the seals look like. Of course, pulling it apart, this rear cap is different. It actually takes this one. It has those little ear flanges on the end of it, and the part number for that is right there. I don't know. The computer showed that the first one was the right one. Clearly it's not. So the only thing I can recommend is take it apart, find out which one you need, then go buy it. Saves you a trip. So I got the oil pan gasket. That's kind of neat because this is also Felpro. These are all Felpro parts. It comes with these that'll help you put the gasket in a lot easier. But it's this guy here that I'm dreading. So I'm hoping I won't have to drop the front suspension down out of it. It does have 6.5 inches of lift, so there is a lot of clearance in that pan area. But if need be, we can throw it on some jack stands. We can pull the upper shock bolts out, drop the shocks down, drop the axle down even farther, but hopefully there's clearance. We can get this thing out of here. I don't want this project to be a pain in the ass, but with most projects they are. You know, is what it is. We kind of made it a little easier. Just took a piece of cardboard, and we're going to start on the passenger side front. We're just going to drop bolts in here as we go. That way everything goes back all where it should. I'll be honest, I'm not looking forward to this, but it's got to get done. I just wish it was warmer out so I could have the garage door open, not freeze my ass off out here. So let's get started. All right, so it's pretty important to make some kind of a little cheat sheet chart when you're doing this, because there are different size bolts in certain spots, and there's studs, like stud looking bolts, and others that hang like bracketry and all that. So highly recommend get you a piece of cardboard or something. You can either draw out the shape of the oil pan gasket and put it on the cardboard, or just do like I did, have a start point and just punch a whole bunch of holes in it. Alright, because it's raining grease balls and all sorts of crap on my face, I decided to go with the old OSHA approved safety glasses to really channel the dirt somehow behind the glasses into my eyes. So the good thing is the bolts, when they're coming out, they're not very long, so you're not under here threading them out for 10 minutes on each bolt. But yeah, that one up there might be a little tricky. And don't forget, on the back here, there's like a little, not really a brace, but there's a piece that connects between the last two bolts to kind of distribute that load evenly across the back of the pan. I will be taking the starter out at some point. I don't know if I'm gonna get it out before or after the pan, because I want to clean it up. I'm gonna try and clean up some of this under here too. And I also, if I can get this flex or the dust shield off, I want to take a look in there and see if I've got you know, everything tight, because I got the notorious 4.0 rattle, and some people have said it's the torque converter bolts get loose, but I don't know. We'll see. I'll pull it off and look, but so far so good. Also, another cool thing I just figured out, the clunk that I have from the front end when I'm hitting bumps, it's right here. That'll be something on the list, because it does bother me driving down the road and all you hear is, you know, that clunking around. It makes you think that the whole front suspension's falling off the thing, but everything's tight and everything's good, so another project, I guess. Alright, well, all the bolts are out. Up here in the front was a greasy mess. Now the big question is, can we get this thing out without having to drop everything down? So, fingers crossed it'll work. Oh yeah! Yeah, see? 6-inch lift for the win. So one thing I will recommend, mine had a lot of buildup down in the bottom of this. I'm assuming it's because they put gasket sealer that maybe went a little too heavy down in here. Now, the package itself does call for a thin layer of RTV on the back side of this, so we're going to repeat that and do the same thing. This only does go in only one way, because you can see it's keyed there on the end, so it's only going to fit going in that way. Same with this one. This gap right in here, I know I've looked on a lot of videos and nobody really shows what that is, but you can see there's a gap in there compared to this side. This side here needs to face towards the front of the motor, so make sure when you're putting it in, you put it in that way. I've cleaned all this out, and then I cleaned out the front side up here, so we should get a really good seal with it. Bearings are nice and smooth, no discoloration, so it's pretty much going to be the same hopefully for all of them. I'm not pulling all of these things apart to check how it's doing, but by looking at the motor and seeing that, like in the oil pan, there wasn't a whole lot of sludge buildup, so I know everything. This guy, whoever owned this before, really did a lot of oil changes on it, was really regular with it, so I highly recommend if you're doing it, man, oil changes save the world. I mean, it's insane. You know, you stay on top of the oil changes and how much things actually hold up and still look good. Now we're going to put just a thin layer right across the ends. So when we put it in, we got a really good seal. And I've seen people that they say do this. I've seen other people that say don't. We're going to go with do it. Alright, so if somebody tells you that the rear main seal is super easy to come out, you just take a punch and push on it and pops right, they are full of shit. What I wound up doing was putting together a concoction like this, switching between two different punches, and we finally got her popped loose. So now what we'll do is we'll grab that little part with a pair of pliers, little needle nose, we'll pull it out of there. So here we go again, that just came out like that. You can see there's that groove that's in this. So when it goes in, it goes towards the front of the motor. The back side is flat. There's your groove, front of the motor. Alright, so reinstalling this, we put just a little bit of oil on here just to kind of help it slide in over the top of the crank. Again, we're going to go that groove towards the front of the motor. We're just going to slide this thing in same way it came out. Hopefully it goes in. New one's in. Pretty even with each side. What I'll do now is I'm going to take a Q-tip of some sort. I'm going to put a little bit of RTV right here on this side and on this side. That way when the two surfaces of the bearing cap come together, we got a good seal on there, and hopefully that'll be into all the leaks. I think while I'm under here, I'm going to try and tackle that one. That's the oil filter relocator. There's an O-ring underneath there, and now with all this room under here, I'm hoping I can get a good pry bar on there and get that thing off. So still got to take the starter off. I want to take all this off, clean it all up. But while we got the pan out, we got room. We'll give that one a shot too, because I have that part also. So you can see we got the little bit on there, a little bit up there. I put a little oil on the bearing just to help it during startup right away. But it'll get the oil it needs. Alright, now that we got it back together, we're going to torque these down. We're going to start on this one here because I had to pop this one loose. So the final torque setting on it is 80 foot-pounds, but we're going to do it in a series of steps. We'll go 40, 60, and then 80. This is our final at 80 foot-pounds. So since we're down here, we're also going to fix, where'd it go? The oil filter piece. So what I did to get it out, this is an absolute nightmare to get this out. What worked was T55 Torx, crescent wrench, jack handle, and heat gun. So Put the heat gun on her, let her get really nice and hot. I mean, you know, it's because the heat gun's gonna do. And what do you know, she popped loose. So this is awesome. We're fixing all the leaks on this thing, clean up all the sludge and mess, and I mean, a brand new motor, right? So I'm gonna get this thing out, we'll take it to the bench, I'll show you what parts we got for that. Alright, so we got her on the bench here. This is the O-ring that was in it, and actually it was stuck to the block when I pulled it out. It goes in this groove right here. Now this one, it's stiff, but it's still pliable. So at some point, somebody's already replaced this, I'm assuming, because normally these things are just rock hard. So part for that, I swear if this is the wrong one, I'm gonna be pissed, but 70301, it's a Felpro, it says right there. So we'll clean this up, swap this out, get it put back in, but like I said, somebody's already replaced this because it's still crunch. I mean, it's falling apart, but I've seen them where they hit them on it. It sounds like wood when you're hitting it. So, all right, let's get this cleaned up. All right, so we got the oil filter adapter all ready to go back in. Only thing we got to do now, we're going to throw the O-ring in it. Just kind of sits right in this groove right here. Just remember, when you're putting this in, you can't clock this thing, you know, a different way to make it easier for you. It does have this little cutout right here, and then when we get underneath, I'll show you there's a pin that goes in there that lines this thing up, so it only goes in the one way. So if you think, well, maybe I'll rotate it down to make it easier, not going to happen, because we got this here. Got the oil pan out here. Look, I'm not looking for to win a beauty pageant with it. I'm just looking to get a little protection on it, make it look a little fancier than it was. You know, like I said before, if there's one thing I hate grease. And I hate oil residue and all that crap underneath. I don't mind working on something if it's covered in mud, but when it comes to grease and stuff, no thanks. So we got the main cap girdle back in. We torqued those down. We're gonna wait on the oil pan just yet. We're letting that dry a little bit more. We're gonna get the filter adapter back in, and gosh, I don't know. This has been a hell of a project, I tell you what. Project that needed to be done that I just kind of kept putting off, but I mean, I guess it's the perfect time to do it, right? So let's get moving with it. Let's get the adapter back in, clean up a few more things. I'll show you what we got going on underneath. So let's get in there. So you can see here's where the adapter mounts, and this here is that little probe that lines everything up. So you're going to want to make sure that that goes in there just right so that you cannot mess it up. But other than that, everything underneath, we cleaned her up really good, because I do not want to do this again. This has not been a fun project, but it needed to happen. So the past couple days I've been out here scrubbing everything. Make sure we got a really good mating surface that hopefully won't leak. But I mean, as far as this motor looks, everything looks good. I mean, for as many miles it has on it, everything checks out pretty good. So let's go ahead and get that adapter in there, get that tightened up. We'll work on getting this pan back in. Alright, so again, we're using the Felpro gasket. This one's really nice, really solid. It also comes with these. You actually screw these into the bottom of the block, and then the gasket will kind of slip on there and hold itself in place while you get the pan and all that set up. There are a couple spots underneath there where I might put just a little bit of RTV, just for shits and giggles, really, because I don't trust some of the spots where on the bottom of the block where there's like a seam. So I might just put just a really small amount right in there. It'll probably leak. I don't know the way this thing's going, but yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll get this thing thrown in there. I'm gonna clean up the heads of these bolts, and hopefully this thing will be back roadworthy. I can check this one off the list. So. So this is the spot I'm talking about. I might put just a little bit of RTV right across that seam. There's one there. And there's one right there. Now this is on the front side of the motor. So, like I said, I'm just going to smear just the tiniest little amount right across that. Hoping that it doesn't leak. I don't know. Alright, well I can say for sure, these little guys here are awesome. Holds the pan and the gasket, everything perfectly in place. I did on the back side back there. Let me show you. Back side up under here under the pan, that rear seal was kind of weird fitting, so I did put a little RTV on the pan just to try to help any way I can on getting this thing not to leak. I didn't do much, I just did a nice little layer on it. So now we'll go through, put all our bolts in. I'm gonna kind of finger tight them in there, and then I'll start from the middle and work my way around, middle out on each side. That way when I'm really tightening these things down, it'll hopefully distribute the load a lot easier. All right, well, quick run to O'Reilly's. Got the oil, got my filter, always run the wicks. And I've started running the Rotella 1540 just because I like the oil pressure that it gives me. At idle, I can get 20 PSI, and then running, it's above 40 the whole time. So I know running the others, oil pressure's always been a weird thing with the Cherokees, but as long as it's above 0, you're good. So we're gonna get this thing filled up, turn it over, see how it looks. I feel weird putting fresh oil in here. I feel like I should put old oil in it. This way when it all leaks out, I'm not out 50 bucks, but we'll go ahead and get this thing in there. I did write the date. I will get the mileage on this filter once I get the battery and all that hooked up. So let's get this thing topped off, get it fired up, see how she looks. All right, well, she's all topped off. I'm legit nervous about this. See how she does. Dead battery. Nice. Shit. All right, we got the jumper on there. If this doesn't do it, we got bigger issues. Oil pressure's coming up. I got no weird noises. Well, so far so good. Let it run for a bit and see how it works. So far so good. this is the project that just keeps giving. We're back in the old getting dirty clothes, and we got a leak. Let me show you what we got. I don't think it's the rear main. I'm pretty sure it's this oil pan gasket. I questioned it when I put it in. I probably should have waited. I don't know. I got a new one. So good news, we got to pull this all back off. It's honestly, this is the only spot that's leaking. Everywhere else in the pan's nice and dry. Everything's sealed up good. So it's just right here. It's a tiny weep coming out of the back while it's running, but it's enough that it's going to be a problem. So lucky us, we get to pull it back apart. But that's going to be for another video. This one's already taken me way too long to put together. So just another project for the Cherokee, I guess. But other than that, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I'll see you in the next video. Hopefully we can get this thing tackled and stop our leaking. See you next time. Hey, make sure you're subscribed to the channel by clicking right down here. Don't want to miss any new episodes, do you? Also, until then, check out one of these two. It's good stuff.